Here's a short video that everybody that's ever done a bit of DIY or building will sympathise with me with, I hope, anyway. Excuse me. So over the years, when you do stuff, you end up with stuff. And I also tend to hoard stuff that I think I might be able to use in the future. And this is stuff that's currently in a cave in Normandy. A cave, if you don't know the terminology, it's what the French call a basement. So this is the stuff that's currently going to be transported over to Loir-et-Cher to the new house to help me with the renovation of that. So there's some shutters at the beginning and some wood that came from worktops I was cutting down. This is my mix of many years. Looks a bit of a state on the outside, but actually it's nickel on the inside. It's clean on the inside. It was one of my bugbears with my labourers was you always made sure that the inside of the mixer was well cleaned out. So there's a bit of rust and stuff in it now, but other than that, it's spotless inside there. You could eat your dinner off that practically. For some old timber at the moment, which won't be going to the Loir-et-Cher. But so the mixer's there, and then we move around to the bits and pieces. As I said, anybody that's ever done DIY or building, you're going to have tools upon tools upon tools. You're going to have stuff you buy over and over again because you can't find it. You thought you had a screwdriver then, you can't find it, so you just nip out and buy another one. There's a roll of felt there to be used, buckets, nails, screws, hammers, beer crates. Beer crates are always very handy on sites. You can turn the other, obviously not with the bottles in, turn them over, put boards across them, and it gives you a bit of extra height. Anything, 12 inches or 30 centimetres, just gives you a bit of height if you're working slightly up higher, doing a bit of painting or plastering or whatever. So, tubs and ladders and various other tools. It was all sort of just launched in here, and then stuff I've picked up. I had guys in Normandy that I knew that loved to do house clearances, and from time to time, a guy called Alan. And he was a friend of the guy that I used to work with, called Didier. From time to time, he would just turn up at the house and he'd say, "Look, we've done a Vide Grenier today. We've done like a car boot sale. We're left over with these bits and pieces. You can have the lot for sort of €5." In the time, I'd just say, "Yeah, why not?" So just anything that he brought along, I would generally just buy from him, which included sort of big oil containers. All sorts of stuff. Anything timber wise, I'd always take off his hands because I could always find a use for it, and try to upcycle it to some form or another. There's more containers there. There's an old mug there, Bolton Wanderers mug, stuff like that. Tubs of mold oil and that, cables, cords, conduit, copper, PVC, more worktops or tables or chairs or records or whatever. Anything that a man will amass, a man will amass. For you ladies out there. Bags of nails, bags of masonry fittings, masonry drill bits, amongst other things. What else can we find? More beer crates. Often they would come practically, guys, people would sort of give them away with the bottle still inside them. So I suppose it was easier for them just to give it to me than it was for them to bother to go down to the recycling area and recycle it. There's an extending pole there for rollers, for painting rollers. What else? Oh yeah, transformer, chicken wire and stuff. A sign I bought. Illuminated sign for when there was a bar that shut down in the local area, and we ended up sort of taking the place apart, and I offered to buy that from the mayor, which wasn't a lot of money to be honest, a few euros. Cones from my UK landscaping days. I actually bought cones rather than just nicking them and then utilising, which is what most builders and landscapers tend to do. Jesus cross, you can't go anywhere in it. You can't see a French house without Jesus on the wall. Karcher, pressure, which is a pressure washer, and what else? Anything, tubs of stuff I found. There's a Normandy metal plaque there in the bucket, next to a fold-up bed, next to what would have been like a butter making machine, which I converted into a towel holder, believe it or not. Don't ask me how or why I did that, but I did. Silly things I used to, wild ideas used to come up with. A ladder, which has been mullered on the top there. That was the story with that. Is that goes back to about 1996. I was doing we were actually renovating the house I was in at the time, and it had a very small RSJ in the kitchen. And I assumed that the RSJ would be into the wall about 6 inches or 15 centimeters. Actually, it was about an inch into the wall. So as I'd started to ease the RSJ out, it literally fell. I wasn't expecting to fall the minute I started sort of tugging on it, and it fell straight onto the ladder. So the ladder sort of saved me from an injury. Artillery shells, obviously we're in Normandy, so you're always going to come across war-related stuff. I've got artillery shells, I've got bullets and all sorts in my collections. And then sockets, spanners, sanitary fittings, jigsaws, angle grinders, tins of paint, half finished tins of paint, boxes of powder, road signs, which I said again, that wasn't stolen, that was actually bought from a French brocante for €25. And then even more, so you've got angle grinder discs of different sizes and some bits of flashing and some cord and more screws, nails, fixings for gates, buckets, more screwdrivers, old saws, new saws, roll plugs, other plugs, pipe, gloves, the old style gloves that you used to make from chamois leather, bags and bags of nails that have never been opened. I always whenever I was working in the UK or here in France, I always liked that I would have more than I would need to do something, because I always anticipated there would be another job coming up after that one. More sanitary fittings where we have done things in the UK. We've changed from the old cast iron to UPVC plastic. So you need special connectors for that. So we've got sockets, we've got tubs of stuff. We've got more sanitary fittings in there, push fit fittings, more chicken wire, heat gun, a very old spirit level, probably from the early 2000s. Fittings from kitchen cupboards, which are obviously taken apart and kept. And then stuff I bought recently from stores like Action, next to no money for little bits of fittings, small sections, what I call small boxes of different size screws. So you've always got a screw handy if you need one, which invariably you will have at some stage, and definitely with the new house anyway. So this is just a rummage around. This is just me say this is what every man should be able to associate with this video, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the same. If I look in my garage, if I look in my loft, if I look in my garden shed, or if you're in France, if you look in your cave, you're going to have stacks of stuff lying around that you think, I'll need that because soon I'm going to be doing that, and that." So that's why I'm keeping hold of it. There were some fixings in that bucket there which I used when I put the insulation on the house in Normandy. Special sort of plastic fittings that you put in that hold the 4-inch insulation in place prior to putting a silicone render over the top of it. We've got shelf brackets. Then we've got fixings for chemical fixing, with graters there for when you do the render and stuff. French houses, rather than sponging off the render, they tend to use a tool that sort of grates the surface in a particular way. I quite like actually the finish of that. How the French do their rendering. Some rebar, you just an image of rebar, some mouse traps. Obviously, you're going to have mice and stuff in rural France, as you probably got in rural UK. Washers and stuff. Oh my god, old shovels, old sledgehammers, old rakes, another grinder, a wire, rope, more wire, another transformer, bits for Dremels, fittings there. You can see screws underneath. You can see the rebar. I've just sort of tied it all together. And that's basically, that was just a video. I hope it's not been too boring. It's just what it is. Just trying to explain that this is things that we men do. That we've always got tools available, hopefully, for the next job. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll keep following me on my renovating adventure. I'll see you soon.